hard partying, drug using, bike riding, party animal. That's who I was. If you were to meet me 10 years ago, wow, you would have seen one mess of a person, extreme crack addict and coke addict, lived the nightlife and slept all day. My home had become a crack house, so there was people coming in all the time just to get high, and police were visiting on a regular basis, at least once a month, for the 2 years I lived in that house. In October, I just accomplished something that, I really wanted to do in life, and I had succeeded at that, so I selfishly, wanted to go and pick up some cocaine, and my friends whose home I was visiting, they begged me not to go, and in my mind, I was sober. I mean, I had drank and drove in much worse shape. Well, I got on my Harley, and 15 minutes later, I went into a little S-bend, and I collided with a car, and it immediately removed most of my foot. Within a blink of an eye, my life was altered forever. A friend of mine had just done a couple year stint in prison, and he came over and we were having a party at my house, and he told me the biggest lie in the world when he says, hey, when you do coke, you're just wasting it, man. It ain't real until you feel the steel. I tried it that day, and my life was never the same since. When I was an addict, I was a functioning user, which meant that I could control everything in my life, even though I still needed the drugs. When I became a junkie, that's when I lost control. The need for the drug overcame everything else. So here I am at this very low point in my life where I just wanted the world to stop and let me get off. And I wheeled my car into this empty parking lot and was reflecting on all the poor choices I've made in my life and how much damage I've caused to myself and to my family. And I knew right there I did not want to live anymore. And I prepped this syringe with a lethal dose of cocaine and rolled up my sleeve and tied off. And as I was squeezing this plunger full of cocaine into my arm, it's like, what is going on? It's like it's plugged, and I'm squeezing so hard that the plunger arm is bending. And I was frustrated and angry, and I punching the roof of my car, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And later on, when I checked that syringe, it wasn't plugged at all. And when I reflect back now and look at that moment, I knew that God was not done with me yet, that He had something more for me. And He spared me that day. My mother had to come and find me. My mother knew that I was really struggling, and she came to tell me about this Teen Challenge program and explained a bit about it. And I didn't want anything to do with it, but I knew I needed help. So she took me to her church where the Teen Challenge choir was performing, and that was my first real introduction to Teen Challenge. My mother had said, wait here, I gotta go do something. And
two choir members came out named Marty and John, and they shared their stories with me that day. And it was awesome to hear that these guys, their old lives mirrored my life, what I was going through at that time. And I put myself on the waiting list that day to get into the Teen Challenge program.
Transformation did not come overnight. You know, I was wrestling with myself, with the staff. I was dealing with issues of pride and guilt and shame. And my year at Teen Challenge was a gradual thing, and realizing, you know, the freedom in forgiveness to forgive others and accept forgiveness. But the hardest for me was to forgive myself for the things that I've done. And that year at Teen Challenge, I discovered that I didn't need to be macho Steve, that I could just be me without any drugs or alcohol. Since completing the Teen Challenge program, I'm an ambassador for Teen Challenge. I'm currently at Bible College. I've met the love of my life while I was there, and I've been married a little over a year now, and we're expecting our first child soon. I've got that joy in here that I couldn't find through the poke of a needle or at the end of a crack pipe or at the bottom of a bottle. You know, I have showed people the scars on my arms from the thousands of times I've stuck needles in them and the collapsed veins. And, you know, I just thank God for a ministry like Teen Challenge that He used to give me my life back.